Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and today we're going to be talking about Toys R Us. But more specifically, we're going to be talking about the effects that the bankruptcy of Toys R Us is having across the toy industry. Now, the last time I did a video about Toys R Us news, we were talking about how the Canadian stores were saved. A company came in and scooped them up, so in Canada, the stores are okay for right now. It's going to be business as usual. But over here in the United States, the stores are continuing to close down, and no one has stepped forward and placed a bid that was actually considered successful enough to purchase the company. Now, we know Isaac Larian has tried. He might try again with another bid. We don't know, but that's where we stand right now. But I want to talk about this story that was published in Reuters today, on Reuters.com. I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can check out this story yourself. But I thought that it was really interesting because it reminded me of something that I thought about when I first learned that Toys R Us was going out of business. And I thought, what about the smaller toy companies, the ones that you usually don't see in the big box retail stores? What about the companies like NECA or Diamond Select, just to name a couple? These toy companies that you would always see the products in Toys R Us, but when Toys R Us goes away, where are they going to go? Because the shelf space in all of the other big box retailers is going to be very, very competitive, more so than what it is right now. Because right now, when Toys R Us goes out of business, some of the two biggest toy retailers in the United States are going to be Walmart and Target. And they are not exclusively toy stores. They have toy departments. And in Walmart's case, the toy department in a lot of cases is not that good. And Target's is a step above, but still nothing compared to what Toys R Us was. So for smaller companies to try to get in on that action on their own merits, at least in the same way that they were on the shelves in Toys R Us, is going to be very difficult, if not impossible to do. So what this Reuters story was talking about was the potential for acquisitions and mergers for these small companies to come together to make themselves bigger, and therefore will be able to increase the chances of them having a presence on those shelves in Target and Walmart and other big retailers like that. So they first pointed out the Hasbro deal that was made when Hasbro purchased Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, that entire property, that entire IP, that entire franchise, that entire everything from Saban. And they spent $522 million to do so. Now, Hasbro said that that didn't have anything to do with the closure of Toys R Us, but that just sort of got the ball rolling to talk about some of the smaller companies. One of the examples that they gave was a small company called Play Monster, the makers of the 5-Second Rule card game, and they purchased another company called Kid-O Toys. And then Spin Master bought a plush toy maker called Gun for $79 million. Now, off the back of that, you know the loyal subjects? They make some pretty decent toys. They can be a little bit on the pricey side, but a very interesting thing here was that they said that the chief executive officer, Jonathan Cathy, said that he saw an increased interest in companies wanting to purchase his company after the Toys R Us bankruptcy went through. And then another CEO named Jay Foreman, who is the CEO of a company called Basic Fun, said that talks of consolidation between his company and other smaller companies have, quote, easily tripled since September. And on another note, his company also purchased K'NEX and GeoWorld after Toys R Us started to go under. So since Toys R Us reportedly accounted for about 12% of all toy sales in the United States, once it goes away, that's going to leave a huge gap in the toy industry. And these smaller companies fighting each other, trying to get shelf space on the stores that remain, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. And the path forward may just be consolidation for many of them. And in the worst case scenario, some of them just might go out of business. It also explains why Isaac Larian was trying so hard to purchase Toys R Us, because his company, MGA Entertainment, that creates at least the Bratz lines of toys, stand to lose a lot of potential revenue with Toys R Us being gone, because then they will have to take all of their toys and somehow get on the shelves of other companies to the same extent that they were in Toys R Us, which likely isn't going to happen. So it's really in his best interest that Toys R Us stays around, because his company that he makes money from is going to lose a lot of money potentially if they cannot get that market share back. So what's going to happen next? Are we going to see these small toy companies die in a gutter on the side of the road while the bigger companies, the Mattels, the Hasbros, and others continue to flourish because they just so happen to have the name recognition and the loyalty and the trust of all the remaining stores to basically push everyone else out? I don't know. It seems like it might be going that way. And to me, that's never a good thing because every industry needs good competition, and we need smaller companies to take those risks and take those chances that bigger companies are probably not going to take. They have a formula, they have something that works, they have it down packed, and a lot of times they're not going to really deviate away from what they usually do unless they start seeing a lot of pushback from customers that's starting to affect their bottom line. So unless there's going to be some sort of big dramatic change in the industry, there's really no reason for them to change up what they're doing right now. I personally hope that these small toy companies can find some way to still get their brands and their names and their products out there, because more variety, that's the spice of life. And that's something that we can all enjoy, and that's something that we can all benefit from. And you definitely don't want to see a lot of people losing their jobs because no one's around to buy their toys. So with that, let me know what you think. What do you think about these small toy companies? Are you worried about them? And if so, what toy company in particular are you worried about? The ones that have been on the shelves in Toys R Us, and once they go away, you really don't know where you're going to see them unless you look for them online. Or maybe online is going to be the saving grace for these companies. I don't know, but as I continue to look at this stuff with Toys R Us and how it's going to affect everything, if I find something interesting, like the story that I found here on Reuters, I'll be sure to let you know. So thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.